so that you guys can see what's going on. Okay. So yesterday we went ahead and we identified expressions for all these friends and the number of DVDs that they had. Okay. And if you weren't here yesterday or you didn't get the notes, okay, we said that we were going to make our variable D equal the number of DVDs that Dan has. Okay. Okay, so we made our variable D. So then we went ahead and we made expressions for each of those, for each person. So Donna had 7 more than Dan, and we said, okay, if Donna has 7 more than Dan, that means Donna's expression is going to be 7 plus D. Okay? And then we went ahead and we said, here's Betty. Betty had twice as many as Donna. We know Donna's expression is 7 plus D, so we went ahead and we did 2 times 7 plus D. Okay. Then we had Jerry. Jerry has 3 times as many as Dan, so we went ahead and we did 3 times D, or just 3D. Then Kenesha had 6 fewer than Donna. Okay, so again, we go up to Donna and we say, okay, Donna has 7 plus D, so we're going to take our 7 plus D for Kenesha, and we're going to make sure that she has 6 fewer than that. And the way we make sure she has 6 fewer than that is we subtract 6 from 7 plus D. Okay, so that's what we had from our last part. Okay, so hopefully you have the expressions that we just wrote down on the last slide written down on a piece of paper or something on the side. If you don't, make sure you get those written down. Okay. All right. So here we're saying that the total group of friends, so the whole group of friends has a total of 182 DVDs. We want to know how many does each person have. Okay. Now we don't know how many each person has. We only have an expression of what each person has. Okay. But now that we have a value for all of them, we can use a method to figure out how many each person has. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to ask ourselves, how are we going to figure out what D equals? Okay, what's the value of D? We want to know that, because once we know what D equals, we can plug that into each of our expressions from before, and we can find out what each person has. Okay, so how do we find out what D equals when all we know is how many everybody has? Well, I can treat my expressions just like regular equations, or just like values, full values. So we know Dan, the number that Dan owns, is going to be represented here by D. So I'm going to rewrite our expression for us. So we know Dan has D. We also know that Donna has D plus 7. We also know that, based on the last slide, that Betty has 2 times D plus 7. And we also know that Jerry has 3 times D. So 3 times as many as Dan. And we know that Kenesha has D plus 7 minus 6. And those all come from the last slide that we figured out. Okay, so now that you see this, we can probably go ahead and say, okay, you know what? If I figure out what D equals, then I can figure out, I can just plug in that value for D in all these expressions. How are we going to figure that out? Well, we know that everybody has 182 DVDs. So it would make sense that if I add everybody's expression together, I can get 182. So let's see how that's going to look. Okay. All right, so here's how that's going to look. Dan DVDs plus Donna's DVDs, which is D plus 7, plus Betty's DVDs, which Betty's DVDs are 2D plus 2 times D plus 7. Don't know why I make that 2 so big. Okay. Which is 2D plus 7. And then we're going to add in Jerry's DVDs, which we know is 3D. And then we're going to add in Kenesha. And I know that community property says that no matter what order I have these in, that I don't need those parentheses. So however I group those, I'm going to get the same thing. So I'm just going to say we're going to add in Kenesha's D plus 7 minus 6. Okay. So I know that when I add in all these expressions together, I will get 182 DVDs. I will get 182. Okay. Now I can go ahead and solve for D. Well, this is a lot of mumbo jumbo in here. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo in here. And so we need to simplify that out. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify it out. And the first thing I'm going to do is I see this and I'm going to distribute it out. Okay, so I'm going to make this end up being 2D plus 14. Okay, so that whenever I simplify, that's the first thing I want to do. I want to distribute out. So this part is gone. Okay, now I'm looking at this, at what I have here. And now what I have here, after I've distributed that out, is I have D plus 7 plus 2D plus 14 plus 3D plus D plus 7 minus 6. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine my like terms. Okay, anytime I have a variable or a coefficient with a variable, I would go ahead and combine those. So I'm going to combine my D's first because they stick out the most. So here I have 1D plus 1D is 2D plus 2D is 4D plus 3D is 7D plus 1D is 8D. So when I combine all my D's, my like terms of D's, I have 8D. Okay. So I've combined all those. So I'm just going to cross all those out so that I know that I've used all of them. Okay. Now I'm left with my whole numbers here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in my whole numbers together. Okay. And I'm just adding, so, or I'll have to deal with subtracting here, but we'll see how that works. So 7 plus 14 gives me 21. Plus 7 gives me 28. minus 6 gives me 22. That's a positive 22, so now I have 8D plus 22. And now I know that that will equal, now that I've simplified it, over here, 182. Okay? So now that I have this equation, I can go ahead and figure out how many DVDs Dan has. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 22 on both sides. And then I end up with 8D equals 160. And then I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. So I'll make it my D. And then I know that my D, or Dan's DVDs, equals 20. So now, through all that, we now know how many DVDs Dan has. We know that D now equals 20. I'm going to put it up here so that we just know we filled in our answer. So D equals 20. That is great, okay? Because now that I know what D equals, I can plug it into each person's individual expression, and I'll know what, I'll be able to figure out what they get, okay? Okay, so now let's go ahead and plug everything in for D. Well, I know that Dan has 20 because D is 20, so Dan owns 20 DVDs. Okay. Now Donna is D plus 7, so 20 plus 7 gives me 27. Now I know that D plus 7 is 27, so I'm just going to do 2 times 27, and when I do 2 times 27, I get 54. Okay, now 3D, 3 times 20 is 60. And finally, D plus 7, we know is 27, minus 6 would be 21. So Tanisha has 21. So now we've figured out and we've identified that how many everybody has. Now there's one last way we can go ahead and check this, just to make sure, because it is a lot of work. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to check this, and we can check it by adding everything together. Okay, so I should be able to go ahead and do 20 plus 27 plus 54 plus 60 plus 21. And what should that equal? That should equal 182. So if that should all equal 182, and for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and get my calculator out here, and I'm going to add those together. 20 plus 27 plus 54 plus 60 plus 21 gives me 182. So there's my check, here's my work, here's how everything came together. Okay,